need to clap. I was getting ready to be disappointed. $3,000 for one meal. Oh my God. I started to get very stressed out. One of the main business mistakes that I made was
like, hardcore is like Let's talk a bit more about numbers.
Every single thing that is in there makes me happy.
In this video, we are going to talk about how to open a barbershop, how much money you need to invest, potential revenue and profit. We will also discuss how to find the best location for your barbershop, where to hire talented barbers, and mistakes that you can make in the beginning. Our guest today is Feroze McLeod. He is a famous guy in the tattoo scene, but on top of being an artist himself and owning a tattoo shop, he recently restarted his barbershop business, which he was running for several years before shutting it down in 2017. Enjoy. Man, you are very famous in tattoo business world, right?
I don't know about that.
Yeah. And I got your first tattoo from you, this one, this beautiful thing actually. So that's how we met. But today we're gonna talk more about like your second business, barbershop business. You opened the shop first time in 2012, yeah? How you came up with this idea in the first place? Because you were doing like tattoos before and then you came up with this.
Yeah, so I was growing up in New Zealand and I was playing music with punk bands and I was skateboarding a lot, and a lot of the people that I looked up to, they all had tattoos and they all had their hair really nicely combed and stuff like that, and I didn't really know what was going on that much, and I was trying to follow this style, right? And so when I started to investigate about how these guys were living their lifestyle, and then I started to read up on how they used to spend a lot of time in barbershops and tattoo shops, and that's where their community used to come together and hang out. You know what I mean? So when I came back to Singapore, I was at this point I was living in New Zealand, and then I came back to Singapore, and then I started going to the regular barbershops, and I was trying to find that vibe. Yeah. So I was going to these barbershops and trying to tell them how to cut my hair and stuff like that. But I remember the feeling that every time I went there, I was like, I was getting ready to be disappointed. You know what I mean? Like I knew that when I walked in there, everybody, like, they were gonna fuck it up, and I was gonna be like, oh my God. So I started to have to really tell them exactly like how I wanted it cut and stuff like this, and I used to get laughed at a lot because that wasn't a very common style to like have your hair really neat. At that point of time, this is like, I don't know, 2005, so everybody had really messy hair, or that was the trend back then. So after like being really annoyed by trying to get my hair cut and trying to get like a hot towel shave experience, I started to think to myself, like, fuck man, like I should probably do it, because there's nowhere in Singapore that I can do it. So I started tattooing, and then I wanted to open a tattoo shop, but I didn't want it to be like a regular tattoo shop. So then I was, people were always making jokes about how I would open a barbershop because of the way I dressed. I was always dressed nicely with a neat haircut and stuff like that.
Like in terms of spending, how's life in Singapore? It's expensive, right?
Yes,
like,
life in Singapore is pretty expensive.
What would be your like monthly spendings?
Okay, so I have my apartment, which I pay about $3,000 a month for, and that's just rental.
Yeah. And
on top of that, your bills come up to about $200, and then you have food, and your average meal here is about $12 or $15 for one meal, and that's like not expensive. That's like a cheap meal.
Yeah.
And so daily expenses, man, I think you're looking at around $50 a day. On top of that, transport. So I have this car and I have two motorcycles. Motorcycles are a lot cheaper to run.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, petrol and parking costs about $800 a month.
And so you opened this one, this barbershop, not another location, but the same concept, in 2012. Then you closed it in 5 years.
Yes.
Why was it, and why you reopen it right now?
So when we opened in 2012, we were the first of this kind of barbershop to open in Singapore.
Yeah.
So I was very young. I was 25, and in the back of the shop, I had my tattoo shop. That's where I started the tattoo shop team, and then slowly the barbershop started to get a lot of traction. It started to get really, really popular, purely because we were the first ones to do it, and we had a very alternative attitude to running a business. We didn't really care what people thought. We did whatever the fuck we wanted. We had massive parties. We had, it was really, really awesome. It was a great vibe, and I was really happy about how it turned out. But it got really, really popular, and that led to me making a lot of business mistakes. Because I was just not business savvy, and I was really just going along with the ride. And at one point, it got really, really too big for me to be able to handle the business, and so I started to get very stressed out because I had been right about so many things when I was running the business at the start that I became scared to make a wrong decision. Do you understand?
You said about mistakes. Can you tell me what was the mistakes? What was the main challenges in the beginning?
So one of the main business mistakes that I made was the salary structures for barbers. See, because I didn't have anything to base it on. I was the first one to do it. I didn't know any of the structures of how people got paid, so I treated it like a tattoo shop.
Okay, but it's different.
It's totally different.
Okay, what's the difference?
In a tattoo shop, people make commission only.
Okay.
So only commission.
Okay.
Yeah. So I treated the barbers as they were tattooers, but when you go down the road, if you already give them a certain commission and it doesn't work for the business, then there's no way for you to pay them less.
Exactly.
And unless you don't care about them. And I cared about them. I worked with friends, like a lot of them were my friends, so it was very difficult for me to balance the friendship and the work relationship with them. And so that was one of the main problems, was also the business structure of how we paid the salaries and how we balanced the books and accounting and everything. It was very, very off. But a lot of people that run barbershops now follow that structure, which is, it's fortunate for me now because now I know how to avoid that. But there are still a lot of shops that do that. And if people are planning to open a barbershop and having a commission structure, like, it's probably best that they don't, because they have to look at the numbers properly. They have to do a P&L sheet properly and really understand what kind of target that they want to hit and what kind of salary they want to give, so that the business doesn't suffer. If, for example, if you do 30 less people a month, then you're not going to suffer. In those days, it was only commission. So if we had a slow month, the business would really suffer, because then we have to pay them whatever it was, 50% or whatever the percentage was at that time.
How you look for the professional barbers? I guess it's one of the main things, like in this business, to find a really professional, and also a person who can talk, right, or who can like communicate with the customer in a right way.
That is the most challenging aspect of running the barbershop. It is the most challenging, and it was the most challenging from the start. When we started, if you can imagine, there's no barbers. Everybody there was only hairdressers, so I had to teach my friends how to do it. So that's why a lot of the people that worked for me were friends of mine. And so now there are a lot more barbers, but obviously you need to know where to find them. And so usually that leads to poaching right now. So when we look for barbers, we usually look for someone that can lead the team, so that when he is there, other people can follow his example. So Freddie is that guy for us. So we decided to work with him as a partner, so that he has a stake in the business. And so when he comes into the barbershop, we know that he cares about how the barbershop runs. If you hire a professional barber that has his own following and has his own thing, it's the same as a tattooist. They don't need you, you know what I mean? They could just do it at home and they'd be fine. So obviously having an environment that is very comfortable for a barber to work is one of the things that can attract barbers to work in your shop. But also having a good leader that has charisma and is able to lead younger barbers to follow his footsteps is what we're going for. So we're mostly going for young barbers that are enthusiastic and that are happy to be here.
And then you teach them.
Yes.
You train them. Okay. Tell me about this car. It's ridiculously amazing.
This car, So I bought this car 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and I really wanted a classic car, so I just looked online. And to be honest, it was really lucky that I found it, because I just found the listing on the website.
Yeah.
And then, I figured out how to buy it, and then I did, and that was 5 years ago. But you know that car prices here are super expensive, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How much was that?
For this car,
Yeah.
I bought it for around 60,000.
60K.
Yeah, and it only had 3 years left on the tax, the COE tax. So I just renewed it recently. I renewed it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I have had to put another $40,000 into the car.
So, if for example you have a like really good professional barber, what would be the percentage of fixed for him and the commission? So, of commission probably will be much bigger.
So that's where the balance comes in, because then you have to base your whole target of what you want to sell in 1 month, and then you have to know how much of that goes to salaries.
Yeah.
After you know how much of that goes to salaries and how much you want the company to profit every month for you to build the business, and then you can start to put aside how much you think is fair for each of the staff. For example, there's a guy that would probably have 10 years experience. Obviously he gets paid more than somebody who has 1 year experience. But at the same time, the amount that you have for salaries that you put aside has to balance that.
Yeah.
So if somebody is making, say, 1,200 basic plus a low target, so if he makes 1,200 basic and he has a target of, say, 5,000 sales, then he hits a percentage commission. Somebody with 10 years experience may get 3,000 basic, but then have a $9,000 target for him to start getting his commission, because we're trusting in him to have a high basic so that he doesn't have to worry too much about clientele, but at the same time, he has the ability to be able to reach a target so that he can start earning commission.
Why you don't drink, if I can ask?
So I used to play in a lot of punk bands when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And one of the bands that I played in became really, really popular at the time. So it was a hardcore band, and while we were playing, there was a lot of young kids that listened to us, and so I didn't drink, and I never smoked. So in the punk scene, there is a lifestyle choice called straight edge.
Yeah.
And so I adopted this lifestyle, and I started promoting it to like help young kids, make better decisions on how they want to live. Hopefully they can follow my footsteps in not drinking and not poisoning themselves with alcohol or drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was what made me do it.
I also used to do like this punk rock and hardcore.
Nice.
I played the guitar and
cool.
I tried to sing as well. I wouldn't call it singing, like
Yeah.
hardcore is like The social media, like it looks like Hounds are pretty active in social media.
Yeah.
Is it like any particular strategy behind it? Do you have someone who works exactly for this?
No, so I do most of the posting and I do most of the social media, but I really hate it. I don't.
Why?
Because I feel that obviously I don't know the game. So somebody that does know how to make their social media accounts work for them, obviously they're winning. And I think that if there are new businesses that wanna get promotion, that's probably the best and easiest way to do it. But I really believe way more in old school techniques, with location, with visibility, with welcoming atmospheres, with paper trails, with the actual haircuts that walk out the door, that promote the business to other people. Yeah.
And you said you buy ads from
Yes.
Facebook, from Instagram. So you just do like push this sponsor, like the promote button.
Yes.
Yeah.
The promote button.
Yeah. So you make a post and then you wait, or you do the promotion straight away?
I do a post and then I wait to see if it gets enough traction that I feel that people like the post, and if it does well, and then I promote the post. And also from promoting the post, a lot of people promote the post and it doesn't work for them. And one reason is because their audience is too wide. So what I found was if I really think about the exact audience that I want, it's way more effective.
You know that you can use your email list for advertising, right? So you can upload this list and then you can advertise on these people. Also you can do like a lookalike audience, which these 15,000 people that you already have, you do lookalike, and Facebook will find for you like the same kind of audience.
Yeah, I don't know any of that.
Okay.
To be honest, you need to teach me.
Okay, that we'll do after the shot. You're like always very kind of stylish, you know. Like I read some interviews and watched some videos, and you're always like in this good outfit. So what does it mean to you, like being like always dressed up? So what's the thing behind?
So for me, especially when it comes to my career and my work, I feel that if you are presentable and you have a sense of pride in how you look, then it shows that you are serious about your work. You know, it shows that you have pride in what you do, and you're not in it just for whatever, just for financial or whatever. I mean, that's totally okay, but for me, I take it deeper than that, you know, because I'm totally in love with what I do. Like, I love tattooing, and I love being in a barbershop, and I love that experience, and I want to share it with people. And I also appreciate a lot of craftsmen, you know. So when it comes to clothing and stuff, like, I appreciate when there is effort put into a piece of clothing or a style, or if there's a tailor that I like the way he does stuff, like, you know, and I believe in his work and his details, his attention to detail, because I want people to also do the same for me. So if I can support small businesses with fashion, or even big businesses, it just shows that I believe in the product, and I don't mind to spend for that, because it's the same for me. You know, somebody that comes to me for a tattoo, it's not cheap. So I would rather be able to support the people, so that I believe that I can be supported also.
How you compare like tattoo artist versus the barber in terms of the social media presence? So if you have the famous tattoo artist, it's probably very good for your business, right? So people kind of get exactly for this guy, for this girl.
That really depends. If a tattoo artist is that famous, he doesn't need me. So in the business sense, it does not necessarily mean that the business does well if he's there. In fact, he probably demands more commission, and we're really benefiting from him saying that he's working in the shop, which doesn't mean that we could get more bookings. It just means that people know where he is. So on the contrary, it actually works better for businesses to have more low profile.
Any recommendations how to find a really like nice location for your barbershop? So for Hounds specifically, we are a very classic and a very old school traditional barbershop. So obviously we need a space that is in more of a heritage area. So a shop house would be the best for us. If you're looking at masses, you're probably looking at a shopping mall or something like that, which will have a lot of benefits when it comes to walk-in traffic and visibility. But also you have to play by the rules of the shopping mall. So you have certain opening and closing times. You know, you cannot control your air conditioning or whatever like that. Let's talk a bit more about numbers. So if I want to open like same type of barbershop, how much money do I need to put in it?
So when we opened the first barbershop, I opened it on $15,000.
Okay.
And so that was me going in there and renovating it myself, painting the walls myself with my dad, buying the cheapest furniture that I could that fit the style. We did it pretty good, but it was very, very DIY. So something like this, where we have proper furniture, we have proper chairs, we have proper sinks and basins and stuff like that, we're probably looking at 50,000 to 60,000 on renovation costs.
Just renovation?
Just renovation costs.
Okay, including furniture?
including furniture.
Cool. So we are around this very nice area in Singapore. What would be the range of price for this size, like similar size place?
For rental? For rental around this area, you're probably looking at, for the same amount of space, this is 1,100 square feet.
Okay.
And around this size, for this area, you're probably looking at 8,000 per month for rental at this point of time. So this is 2021, post-COVID.
Yeah.
So depending on how much businesses come back and how much the economy picks up,
Yeah.
it will probably get higher up, which was the case before COVID.
Okay. So the final profit margin, what percent will be out of the revenue?
Terence is really the better guy to ask about this,
Yeah.
but I'll try my best to see if I can answer. But if we're looking at around 40K, so that works out to be 25,000 or 30,000.
Yeah.
I don't know what that makes up to be. And then you're taking out 8,000 for rent.
Okay.
You're taking out about 2,000 for marketing costs,
Okay.
stuff like that. We also have revenue from the cafe, which is separate.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking at a profit margin of around 10K a month.
10K a month. Yeah. And then you
Ideally,
ideally, yeah.
ideally on an average month.
Yeah. So meaning you have like 8 chairs here
At 4 chairs running.
with 4 chairs.
Yeah.
But if you add like 4 more chairs, if they're all the
Exactly.
chairs busy, so it's much more.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So the way that we run the profit and loss sheets was based on the worst case scenario
Yeah.
of 6 clients a day at 4 chairs running.
6 clients a day,
At 4 chairs.
each chair.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why we've prepared for that. Is that with the space, we've decided to have
Yeah.
eight chairs, so that if things do get better,
Yeah.
then we have the means to hire more barbers and make sure that the waiting time is as little as possible for walk-ins, and make sure that the appointments are running super smoothly.
Yeah.
So running at 8 chairs, and if we're doing an average of 6, so obviously that number doubles.
Yeah.
So that's the hope.
So you said you spend like 2K for marketing on a monthly basis. What would be your spending for?
So spending for marketing would mostly be on the app. So we have our own Hounds SG app, which is a booking app run by MindBody. And what this app does is that it has this function called shadow marketing, which means that if somebody signs up to the app or somebody registers his account and he is inactive for 2 weeks, they send automatic notifications, and they contact him and they push promotions out to him, and that's a really effective way to get people to keep engaging in the app.
Like, don't forget about your haircut.
Yeah, something like that. Or we run promos on it. We can easily do discount codes, and we have a database.
Yeah.
Another cost of marketing is through the website, which also has the email subscription list and mailing list. Another part of the cost comes from Facebook and Instagram ads, sponsored ads, which is also really effective if you want people to see it, but unfortunately it's the same thing. Your followers don't see it, it's only new people that see it.
Yeah.
And so another cost of marketing also comes with business cards and actual paper brochures and postcards that we give out. And so I print really high quality cards, and I believe in old school techniques with postcards and flyers and stuff like that. I think that works out way better than anything social for me.
So if we give an advice to someone who wants, to open a barbershop, would you advise to start with yourself?
Absolutely.
Not start from business idea.
Absolutely.
Start from,
I believe there's I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think that the only reason that people have supported the stuff that I do, or the reason that some of the stuff that I do has been successful, is because I put a lot of myself into it.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of experience where I meet people who run a business, and it is not personal. It's not on a personal level for them, so it becomes very difficult for them to understand what they need to do to make things work.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I believe that when somebody wants to do a business or something, it has to have a big piece of them inside that business.
Yeah.
And if you are true to yourself, I think that it will definitely work, because if you are a nice person, and then that will translate to your business.
Are there any recommendation how people can like find this interests of themselves?
Yeah, I mean, it is so cliche for me to say, but literally just be yourself.
Yeah.
Just do what you love, and just do it till the end.
Yeah.
Just don't stop, because there's always gonna be obstacles and hurdles and stuff that will bring you down or whatever. But that's as cliche as it sounds. That's really what you have to do, I think. I mean, I'm not the most ideal image of a successful businessman, but I do what I love, and even if I don't make $1 million, I'm happy with what I built. Like I walk into my shop and I'm really happy, because there's like every single thing that I love is in there.
Yeah.
From the paintings on the walls to the motorcycle hanging on that shelf to the sofas. I mean, every single thing that is in there makes me happy. So that reminds me every day that's why I do it.
No, that's right. I think that's what people want. They think they want $1 million, but actually they want to laugh.
Yes.
They want to be in this environment that you had, that you have, and yeah. Alright, if you like this video, please tell me in the comment below what kind of other businesses you want me to present on this channel. And of course, smash the like button, it helps YouTube algorithm a lot. And see you in the next video.